Good morning and welcome to God Talks here with Michael Savage. Today's discussion topic, question. Perhaps I have the answers, perhaps you have the answers. You're welcome to comment. We should be live on X, YouTube, Facebook at this time. Let me know how I sound to you. I'm in a new studio. Today's topic is only one way or several ways. When I was at Thanksgiving dinner the other day with my family and a couple of friends, important friends, Josh Klein writes for Breitbart. Aaron Klein is an all-around great guy who advises presidents. They said something to me out of the blue. I mean, kind of. They didn't know I do God Talks, by the way. They have their own lives. They said what you really ought to do is try to unify the world with regard to various ways of seeing God. You've spent so many years traveling the world, living in remote places, living in villages in Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, Marquesas, islands people never heard of within those islands, collecting medicinal plants, and you've seen things and you've seen people uh, spiritually connecting, right? And what do you come to understand? I said, well, I come to understand that every culture on earth, from the quote most primitive to the most advanced, has thought about and attempted to communicate with God. And the problem is hate has seeped into our world to such an extent that there's almost no tolerance, especially from the radical Islamists who cannot get along with anyone on the planet. They kill their own fellow Muslims who do not follow their way. So you have Christians, Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Zoroastrians. And I want to give you a short summary of how these various religions communicate with God. Now, before I start, I'll tell you I understand immediately what you're going to say. Devout Christians believe their way is the only way. Orthodox Jews believe their way is the only way. This is exactly why I created the Healing Wheel Society. Because from my point of view, it's one man. I'm not telling you what to believe. I'm not trying to convert you. I'm trying to explain to you how I've seen things in my life, which is think of a wheel, think of spokes, think of a hub. The wheel turns and turns and turns, and the wheel turns, the spoke turns, spokes turn, the hub turns, the wheel turns. The hub is where God is. The spokes are the various ways or religions that people have discovered or created to reach God, to communicate with God. The spoke goes two ways, to God and from God. Now, I understand that Christians believe Jesus is the only way. To me, that's an intolerant viewpoint. I understand the Orthodox Jews say only their way is the right way. Very intolerant viewpoint. So please bear with me then and humor an old man when I try to tell you that the only hope for humanity is not to convert yourself to the other religions, but to understand that other people have seen God and are talking to God in their own way through their own religions. And some people have no religion whatsoever and still talk to God. They're very spiritual. I've met many people like that. They say, no, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. Well, okay, if that works, if it makes them a nicer person, fine. That's what I'm all for. If they're not going to randomly attack somebody in the streets of New York or do horrible things to people because they're the wrong religion or the wrong sect of a religion. And if you think it's limited to radical Islam, you're mistaken. Look what went on in Ireland between the Protestants and the Catholics. Brother killing brother or cousin killing cousin. Man has tremendous capacity for good and greatness within himself, herself, and also tremendous capacity for the most evil you can imagine, which we've seen on this planet. We see right now on this planet going on in wars and such, and random violence. We won't go into the causes. We're going to talk about the unity this will be a place for you to come, which is healingwheelsociety.org. That's my other organization. It's an organization, the only one I've created, that is not political. There's no politics in the Healing Wheel Society. And today I want to talk about, is there only one way or several ways? Now, again, many of you are going to disagree, so indulge me. Just indulge me. It's that simple. Or turn this off if this offends you. So let's go and look at the basics together. And we'll look at how do Christians communicate with God. And we're going to look at, you can go on Google and to Google it yourself if you're not a Christian. Prayer, reading the Bible, listening to the Holy Spirit, communicating verbally, can talk to God about their day, concerns, frustrations, triumphs, and tragedies. Communicating nonverbally. Christians can communicate with God nonverbally, such as by sitting in silence. Using praise music. Christians can listen to praise music to communicate with God. Using hymns. I should turn this way so I'm looking in the same direction. Using hymns. Using poems. Christians can pray poems to communicate with God. Doing a daily examine. And Christians can do a daily examine to communicate with God. Okay, so these are ways in general that Christians communicate with God. So let's go to the next religion that's on the list, which is, I'm going to just, it is no particular order, okay? So don't get offended if you're not first. How do Jews communicate with God? Many of you don't know that, but let's look at what the basic rock search says. AI overview says, in Judaism, Jews believe that God communicates with them in a variety of ways, including prophecy. God may appear to a prophet in a dream or vision and speak directly to them. Some believe that Moses was the only prophet to speak directly with God, while others believe that prophets experience prophecy through visions or angels. I've had many dreams, many visions myself. I've seen angels who have saved my life. Does that make me a prophet? It makes me a man who has seen prophecy. Jews communicate with God, or God communicates with Jews also not only through prophecy, but through prayer. As you know, Orthodox Jews pray 3 times a day. They pray privately. Many Jews pray privately to connect with God. You express your thoughts and feelings. You ask for help with personal situations. That's the important part. It's not mumbo jumbo. You're praying for something. You're asking God to help you, help a family member. It works. Not all the time. I can tell you a personal story, which I won't do right now. I've told it before. It starts to sound rather old by now. But I don't think it's important to talk about myself. Jews also can communicate with God in a room or in a field. You don't have to be in a setting that is particular to communicate with God. I remember I heard that when I was a child. I would ask questions. None of my family were religious, by the way. I've talked about that. But I heard down the line that my grandfather, who I never met, the astronaut of the family, Samuel, who came here and brought the family over one by one after working so hard and then died of a heart attack at 47. I heard that he said that you could communicate with God with your back to a tree in a field. I never understood it, but I've seen it. I felt it. I've been in rare places. Haven't you been in places alone and reached to God? Some Jews believe that God is personal and you can reach him, and that God speaks to us in unexpected ways. Others believe that you need ritual, deep ritual. Others say you can't communicate with God. It's too mysterious, and he doesn't speak the way humans speak. Have you not seen a baby cry? You ever hear the song, I Believe? Great song. You ever watch a baby being born? Watch a father die? So let's go to the next group here. How do Muslims communicate with God. You all know that not all Muslims are the way the Islamists are. Muslims pray salah, which they perform 5 times a day. They directly address God with supplication. They bow down to God and they request guidance, and they recite verses from the Quran, which is considered to them the word of God, as a way to connect with their Creator. And they express their devotion to Allah. It's a very personal thing. It's a direct dialogue with Allah. They don't need intermediaries. Okay? Muslims are required to pray 5 times a day to maintain a spiritual connection with God and remind themselves of their ultimate purpose in life. I'm doing the baby talk now. Basic stuff you could find online, but we don't do this often enough. So I'm doing it with you to show there's a unity in ways. Just be tolerant of the other people. You don't have to hate them because they don't do it your way. If they're good people, what's the difference? How they reach God. See, Christians, Jews, Muslims, we all know a little bit about that because we see a lot of it here in America. Most of this nation is Christian. We must not forget that. But what about Hindus? How do Hindus, it's an odd thing for Americans, how do Hindus communicate with God? They're not a monotheistic religion. The first 3 religions that I talked about are monotheistic. We believe in one God. But the country also has others, Hindus, Buddhists, Zoroastrians. Hindus communicate with God through a practice called puja. Involves prayers, chanting, mantras, lighting incense, making offerings like flowers and fruit to a deity image, a murti, while focusing their devotion on the divine through this visual presentation. You can do it at home or in a temple, with the act of puja seen as a way to directly connect with God through ritual and devotion. So it seems alien, right? But they talk to God. How many Hindus are there on the planet? Many Hindus. In fact, if you look at India, it's primarily a Hindu nation. It used to be a nation of Hindus and Muslims, and they couldn't live with each other. They were killing each other. So a piece of India was carved out for the Muslims called Pakistan, which is largely a Muslim nation. And that is the origin of Pakistan around 1947. I'm not going to go into the politics of that. It's too tragic to even discuss. So we've touched on 3 different religions, okay? I've touched on, last night I was saying to myself, what can I talk about today? I'm on here in a different studio. I'm in Florida. Well, God talk, is there only one way or several ways? And I said, how do Christians, Jews, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Zoroastrians communicate with God? I made my notes. I have to have a roadmap. This is my roadmap. And I went to sleep feeling good. I wasn't going to do this today. I said, look, you're on vacation. You're not required. You're not being paid for this. But your friends at the Thanksgiving dinner said, this is your future. And I told them I had created the healingwheelsociety.org. And they said, really? I never heard of it. Okay, well, look it up. A lot of people have gone onto the website. So we've touched on some of the religions and how they reach God. Now let's go to Buddhists. How do Buddhists, boys and girls, communicate with God? Is this odd to you? Maybe it shouldn't be. Maybe it'll help you be a better Christian or a better Jew by being a little more tolerant of people who don't do it your way. Buddhists do not communicate with a personal God in the way that other religions do. Buddhists don't believe in a single creator, a single deity. They focus on achieving enlightenment through practices like meditation, which allows them in their minds, their hearts, their souls to connect with their inner wisdom and the interconnectedness of all things, essentially communicating with a deeper reality rather than a singular God. Now, it's interesting to me being Jewish myself, that there's an awful lot of truth in what I've just read to you. Allows people to connect with their inner wisdom and the interconnectedness of all things. Interconnected of all things. So if I go out here on my lawn in Florida and I see a flock of doves in a tree, they all, I call it the condominium there. There's a tree that they all live in. We have bird feeders on the lawn and they all come down and you see them tweeting away. And if you don't see God in a flock of doves, you're blind. Or if I walk along the beach and I see the little sandpipers, the cutest little birds on the planet, they wait for the tide to retreat. You know, it's a tide comes in, tide goes out, not a rough day, mild day. And they wait for the tide to retreat back into the sea. And right at that point, they peck into the sand and they get some mollusk that's probably trying to breathe, and they eat it. And you watch them run around in flocks. It's amazing to watch how they learn from each other. The parents teach them. So, I mean, I see the interconnectedness of things like that. You know, Billy says, sound is good. Thanks, Billy. Billy works. Billy's a great guy. He is one of the producers, Karen and Billy. And I said, let me know if the sound is good, because it's a studio that we put in the new computer before I got here. Okay, so interconnectedness of all things. I wish all religions taught the interconnectedness of all things. I wish all religions taught tolerance for their fellow humans. I wish all religions taught do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I wish, doesn't matter what I wish. Now, there's another religion that is obscure in America, but there are Zoroastrians, and some of you listen to Zoroastrians. How do Zoroastrians communicate with God? Let's see what it says. They treat Ahura Mazda as the supreme god, but believe in lesser divinities known as Yazatas, who share some similarities with the angels in Abrahamic religions. I don't quite understand it, by the way. Zoroastrians, the little I know, they regard the universe as a dualism between a good God and an evil God. That sounds familiar. A good God, Ahura Mazda, and an evil God. Wow. Interesting. So, without going into comparative religion any further, because I'm not a comparative religion expert at all, I'm just reading this to you, as I told you, right off the internet, just as you might if you were interested. But because many of you have come to like my God talks, you're tolerating what I'm doing today, right? Like I'm talking, I see people communicating about politics. I'm not going to respond. They can't help it. They become obsessed. People have become obsessed in the world, right? And then maybe they should because of what's been done to the world, but I'm not going to do religion, politics right now, only religion. Okay, so they become obsessed, and all they can think about is politics, the same way people can only think about religion. So what's the bottom line? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Simple. That's the whole religion. That's the bottom line of every religion on the planet. I told you how I learned that a long time ago. Now I'm going to get into my personal stories. And I say, here he goes again. Well, here he goes again. How when I was 1 and 20, great poem. Well, I don't know how old I was. Let's see, 19. What year did I go on that ship? 67, 68. It's a blur to me. 67-ish. No, it wasn't. It was 65. Took a student ship to Europe from New York with some of my friends to have a good time, basically to run around, chase women in Mallorca, and see if we could get lucky along the way. That's what we went for. I didn't go for God. I didn't go for any other reason. I didn't go for the cuisine. I didn't go for any other reason but because I heard the women were wild in Europe. I mean, I'm a human being. I'm a man. So we thought we'd have a good time. I mean, people are stupid. They don't, boys particularly are real idiots, you know. But it's lucky that we're idiots because it makes you very adventurous. Being an idiot is good. It makes you do things that are very brazen and brave, which makes the world go around. That's why boys are so wonderful. That's why they jump off buildings and they learn how to become, you know, troopers. They want to show off to girls. So that's like, you know, the whole story. So go to Europe. I'm on this pack. It used to be, it was the MV Waterman. I remember to this day. Good memory, right? I'm not Joe Biden. The motor vessel Waterman. And it had been a troop transport during World War II. And then it was turned into, you know, becoming a cheap passenger liner between New York and, I guess it was Rotterdam. I don't know. I think England, or I think we landed into England. All right, so it's packed. So we were four. I took the cheapest tickets we could get. It wasn't a lot of money, a couple $100. And it was four of us to a room. So there were three of us. So there was an extra person in the room who happened to have been an 80-year-old man from Holland, a Dutchman. He was in with us young guys. We all liked each other. We all got along. And we'd all go up and party. We've been partying all night and sleeping during the day kind of thing on the 5-6 day passage across the, I don't know how many days it was. I really don't remember. It could have been 10 days for all I know. It's a slow ship. And I was bored of the partying after a very short period of time. I'd go down to the room. I would talk to the old man, the Dutchman, about many things. I always like older people who were sober and intelligent. And he was blind. That's why he stayed in the cabin. He was actually using it as a transport, not as just a fun trip. To him, he was going home to Europe, and he was blind. Maybe he had worked in America and, you know, got old and blind. He was going home to die. Who knows? I don't remember the story, but that's not the point of my story. So I go and talk with him one day. Who remembers? But one thing sticks out. One thing. I once said to him, old man, basically, what is the meaning of life? I figured old men have wisdom. And he looked up at me. He was in his lower berth and I was standing, and he looked at me. He says, the meaning of life, the meaning of life. He says, you're born holding it and you die holding it. I don't know. So he was quite funny. And then he said to me, the whole purpose in life is to do kindness to others. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And really that is the sum total of all good religions, is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. You follow what I'm saying? That's it. There's not more than that. So kindness, boys and girls. And it's hard to achieve because we're basically with the naked ape, as Desmond Morris wrote in the 1960s, great book, long forgotten. He called us naked apes. You know, he was talking about the fundamental animal self that we all have to grapple with every day. And most of civilization consists of us learning to subdue the animal self. The problem is, if we over subdue it, we become empty. We're not alive. We're not supposed to be like that. There's a real trick in embracing and being the animal self, enjoying your body. I mean, I love being alive. I love don't you love being alive? Wow. Don't you love the cool air on your face in the morning? Don't you love a shower? Don't you love making love to your wife? I mean, whatever. You embrace that. You don't run from it. It's not dirty. It's your body. God gave you this temple, and you take care of this temple. You don't defile it. That's the animal self. So there's this balance point where you embrace the animal self without only being an animal self. And then if you're an evolved human being, you realize that we're more than the animal self. There is the spirit, the soul, which has been thought about and written about from the beginning of mankind. From the first cave drawings, people were trying to understand what they're doing on this planet. Where did we come from? How did we get here? Where did we go? No one knows. So we create mythology about it. We think it's true. Maybe it is. There's heaven, there's hell. Not all religions believe in that. That if you're a good boy, you go to heaven. If you're a bad boy, you go to hell. You know, that's a little bit of the Santa Claus thing. Some believe that God is within us. Others believe God is out there. Some believe heaven is within us. Some believe, you know that in your own life. You've been in heaven, you've been in hell in your own body, your own mind. My God. If you've ever been in hell in your own life, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a very easy place to get out of. And that's where most of the trouble begins, is that people find themselves in a hell not even of their own making, and they don't know how to get out of it. So they reach out for various things, whether it be drugs, sex, and rock and roll, to get out of that self. And it only makes it worse and puts you into a deeper hell. That's the absolute truth. You know that. And then coming back from that is almost impossible. That's why we have a nation of rehab, a rehab nation. But again, I don't want to, drift off now into the politics. So I'm trying to conclude now. It's enough. It's a Sunday. The sun came out. It rained here yesterday, which I loved. It's a nice sunny day. I'll probably, the minute I leave here, I'll have a coffee. First, I'll have a water. Got to hydrate. Then I'll have a little coffee. Then I'll go on a bicycle ride, short ride, not to exhaustion, but just for balance. Smell the air. Look at the flowers. Look at the people. Look at the boats. Look at the water. Look at the birds. Look at the clouds. Look at the sky. Look at the breeze. Communicate with God. Thank God for the day that He has given me. Praise the Lord. And if you want to learn more about my beliefs, they will emerge. But this is the fundamental explanation for the Healing Wheel Society that I created, where I hope to, all my God talks that I've done over the last year or so are found on healingwheelsociety.org, my website, and you'll see what it's about by going there. I'm not going to go there with you right now. You can go there yourself, and you could see. I mean, it's interesting. Maybe I should go there. Now that I have my own attention on it, let me refresh my own mind. Then I'm going to go. I need coffee. I need a walk. Okay, so let me go on to healingwheelsociety.org. I've done the formal part of today. Okay, healingwheelsociety.org. Let's see what comes up. Healing Wheel Society. Oh, someone stole it already. Another idea gone.org. Everywhere I turn. Okay, Google search. Healingwheelsociety.org. No, we got that one. Oh, there we are, Michael. You did it. No one stole it yet. So you go on it. Turn this camera, be a different angle. No, leave it like that. I should bring the laptop in front of me. It's a pain in the arse, to be honest with you. But I can't put the dual screen up and do it properly. I just want to do it this way. HealingWheelSociety.org. We use cookies, decline or accept. Okay. So the first thing you'll see is a spinning wheel. That's my ship's wheel for my other home. The young man who created the website did a beautiful job. It's actually hypnotically beautiful, with symbols of various major world religions. And what do I say? All religions are right for those who follow their tenets, not tenants. Tenets. I love when politicians mangle words and they try to use big words like tenet and they say tenant. I love it. All religions are right for those who follow their tenets. We have no intent to convert or influence anyone to change their own religious beliefs. We believe the world is in turmoil, and we aim to lower the heat between religions and peoples. We're also dedicated to helping protect wild places and wild animals from exploitation and desecration. The fragility of nature must be respected and preserved. We believe it is our duty and responsibility to God to defend the defenseless and to protect our fragile airs, waters, and places for our children's children, to save us from desecrating ourselves irreparably. It's beautifully written, Michael. Thank you. We did not create the land nor the seas, but must become the stewards of God's creations. Okay. And then you'll see various videos up there. So that's who we are. And then you click onto God Talks, and there's all my God Talks. Genocides, God dying in the West, God Talks, cannibalism, Christianity, Halloween is bigger than Christmas. All my God Talks are preserved there. I love it. Then now here's an interesting one. I put up a thing called Masters of Wisdom. You click on it. So it has videos, articles, books, and archive. We're still developing. So look at the videos I chose. We have Psalm 91, the morning prayer. It's for the Christian audience. Life is Short, Billy Graham. For the audience that is the dominant audience of my audience, the Christian people. Understanding Catholicism. Worrying is like holding a leaky bag over your head. Billy Graham, the Christian's response to grief and suffering. What Do We Do with Fear by Krishnamurti. He was a philosopher that was loved by Aldous Huxley, who was loved by Aldous Huxley. Then I put up, what is this on Masters of Wisdom to do with God? I put up Emmanuel Velikovsky interview. I found one from 9 years ago. I was so infatuated with his mind, I couldn't believe it. Earth and Upheaval, Worlds in Collision, that I put him on Masters of Wisdom. Michael Savage on Enjoying Life. Gandhi on God and Truth. Rabbi Shaus Taub speaks with Michael Savage. Ernest Hemingway, Nobel Prize speech. Helen Keller speaks out. Jack Kerouac interview. Now, why would I put Jack Kerouac on Masters of Wisdom? Because although he's known as a beat writer or a beat poet, he was a deeply spiritual man who was searching for God, and I was very influenced by him. In fact, a lot of my world travels were driven by Jack Kerouac's writings, incidentally. So great authors who write with great insights usually are in touch with God. Aldous Huxley on the power of technology. It's all there. Henry Miller on Unstriving, another great writer who's confused with being a pornographer, but he was a very deep spiritual man, Henry Miller. A lot of sex in his books, but that's not what he wrote about. Henry Miller was an amazing man. So he's on God Talks. So we have the God Talks. We have Masters of Wisdom videos. As I said, why can't I scroll down? Books, articles. Do we have articles? Theodore Roosevelt, the conservation president. Okay, you see, we have it up there. Discover John Muir, a pioneer of conservation. On Joy and Sorrow, a poem, Khalil Gibran. I loved him. Pope calls Singaporean youth to unity during interreligious dialogue. St. Francis of Assisi and his sermon to birds. I love that one. 2 of Jesus Christ's biggest miracles may be science, not divine, new study claims. Breathe deeply. Research finds you can absorb nutrients and vitamins from fresh air. I mean, it's becoming a very beautiful site. I have people working on it with me. And you want to see who's working on this site, you can see we haven't developed an event yet. Come 2025, God willing, we're going to start to create online events for you. There's then a donate button. Again, I'm not going to make this a pitch, but you can donate. We're dedicated to fostering peace, understanding, and unity among faiths for a safer tomorrow. And we do ask for your support, your donation. I started this off with my own donation, and we got nonprofit status. We'll see how long this lasts. You know, a lot of things start and they don't continue. Everything grows sometimes. Some things perish in their infancy. I don't know how long this is going to last. But the Healing Wheel Society is my current baby, and I think it's the sum total of everything I've done my whole life. The sine qua non, from the age of my writing plays and poetry in New York and being absolutely unknown. Most of it was junk, just a kid scribbling. Some of it was genius, and I've republished it in part in other places. Some of it remains in manuscript form in boxes, and I don't know what to do with them, so they went to the Bancroft Library with my writings, along with all of my writings and journals and stuff. They'll be preserved there for scholars in the future who may stumble upon a guy named Michael Savage. Who the hell was that? Well, he was a writer, he was a broadcaster, he was an ethnobotanist, he was a nutritionist. Well, the guy was interesting. He did an awful lot of stuff. Let's see what he wrote when he was 25 or whatever. That's what it's for. But I'm here to talk with you today and end with my talk today with, is there only one way or several ways to God and from God? That's what I led this God Talks with. And if you enjoyed this, I hope you did. And you tell others about it. It's the best thing you can do is tell others about it. I've been with you for how long? 34 minutes is enough time. You need to go on with your life. I don't want to just sit and dominate you because I can. You can go back to the beginning if you want. Many cut in and cut out. They don't even know what I'm talking about. The guy in a checked shirt, the hat, I like the hat. That's all. The turkey, that's all people see. All right, that's human life. I don't expect you to listen to every word and hang on every word. But I put a lot of thought into today's discussion of, is there one way or several ways? And I believe that there are several ways to communicate with God, and God talks to us in several different ways. And those are the main religions that I discussed today. And I will summarize the ways that I think you should become tolerant of, if not accepting of, not for yourself, but for the others who follow those ways. We talked about how do Christians communicate with God, how do Jews communicate with God, how do Hindus communicate with God, how do Buddhists communicate with God, how do Hindus communicate with God, and how do Zoroastrians communicate with God. Now you're getting the intolerant ones now. Till you accept Jesus, you're nothing. I understand that. And now we got the Jesus people who are totally intolerant of any other religion. They're very narrow-minded, just like the Orthodox Jews in many cases, very narrow-minded. No one else is good but them. And this is exactly who I'm talking to. You're the ones who need this more than anybody. Your mind is made up that your way is the only way, so everyone else is a piece of garbage. What, they should go to hell because they don't follow your way? That's exactly what I'm trying to teach you. You're an intolerant asshole if that's what you believe. Your religion is the only way, so what does that make you? There are 7 point some billion people on the planet. So if they don't follow your way, what, they should all drop dead? You want me to get down with you now in the street? What's wrong with you? A true Christian follows the Christian way and tolerates other people and finds love for the other people and leaves them alone. An Orthodox Jew who doesn't see beyond his own little narrow black clothing and his prayers is an intolerant human being, despised by even other Jews because he shuns everybody, says they're no good. That's who I'm talking to. Follow your religion, but be tolerant of others and their religion if they're trying to do good. That's the only hope for humanity. Okay, folks, believe what you want. Follow the religion of your grandparents. If you're lost and have no religion, think of your grandparents. Think of the religion that they followed. Dip into it. Maybe you'll find truth and peace and harmony and love by picking up the book that they had, whether it be the Christian Bible, I'm talking mainly to the Christians and Jews in America, or the 5 books of Moses, the original Old Testament, the Rock of Ages. Maybe you'll find that your grandfather's tefillin, the weird straps that he wrapped around his arm and on his head. It's an amazing thing. I did that once. Little boxes. What is the Jew doing, putting that black box on his head and wrapping his arm a certain way and then go this way, that way, and 3 times that way, and then you pray? What's in those black boxes? What do? They tune into the universe, mind and body. Unify the mind and body. That's what they're doing in the morning. They're tying themselves together. They're unifying the mind and the body. It's not weird. It's not odd. It's beautiful. It's a ritual. Is that way the only way? Well, it's the only way for Orthodox Jews. It's not the way for anyone else. Do they hate everyone who doesn't wrap tefillin? No. That's what I'm trying to say, is I accept other people's way of unifying their heart and their mind and doing good for God. And that's it for today. I wish I could sing, because I would sing. I'd end this session today with a song. The world is in a very dangerous place right now. It's on the verge of a total and absolute destructive war for the whole world. And I think only by reaching out to others, particularly strangers. I didn't say follow their way. I said accept their way for them. That's what I said today. I'm not going to do politics today. I do that all the time. You can find all my political talks, all my books going back many years. I've written many books, and you can read the political books if you wish. Today is different. There's a separate sanctuary for me and for my listeners and followers. This is a sanctuary. It's a place to come that is without politics. It's a place only for us to think about God, the universe, and where we belong in it, where we fit in it, how to be a better person, how to be kind to the animals. That's what it's for. I just got a complete vision as I said that to you. I had a whole vision. And on it goes. I had the vision of having a puppy in my arms the next time I did this. I don't have a puppy, but talking about the beauty of a little dog. You know, the better thing would be to have an infant in my arms, but I don't, so I can get a puppy in the arms, not an infant. Be beautiful. You ever see a little infant? You ever touch an infant's hands or their little feet? And unless you understand the miracle of life, you understand nothing. Until you see your child being born from the body of your wife, you've seen nothing. You're not full. You're not a complete man. You know, I could tell young men they don't know much about life, and then they say to me, Michael, when I saw my child, my daughter or my son, emerging from my wife's body, my whole life changed. I became a different person. I became a man, a father. That's the whole point. It's a miracle. You have to understand. But you see, we live in a time where even this miracle of birth has been turned into, oh God, I don't even want to say what they've done to it. I don't want to get political. You know what I'm saying. You know where I'm going to go with it. It's a miracle. Every life is a miracle. Every life, every human life is a miracle. Every human being has the seeds of greatness within them, or the seeds of horrible things within them. And we have to nurture first ourselves, not others, not tell others how to live. First, find peace and harmony in your heart, which has to be done every day. You don't just get it and say, okay, I got it now. Now I'm good. No, it's not the way it works. So I got peace and harmony now. Now I can go on. No, it's every day. You have to work on it, because every day you can go off the track. Right. It's a challenge. God set it up that way. The naked ape, I'm going back again. The impulses, we all have them. It doesn't make us evil. Don't be ashamed of your impulses. Embrace who you are. You don't have to act them out. Everyone feels things. I remember a rabbi once said to me, he said, Michael, you think we're not human? The guy's wearing black. He looks like he's from 19th century Poland. You think he's a religious guy who feels nothing? He said, I'm a man. I feel everything, but I don't act out everything that I feel. Period. End of story. That's it. That's the whole story in a nutshell. You can feel it. It doesn't mean you have to go impulsively act out everything that you feel. Otherwise, you wind up being an American and living in America today. If you're like hitting an old lady over the head in Manhattan, go ahead and hit an old lady over the head in Manhattan. I mean, that's the world we're living in. No impulse control. So control, you can feel the impulses. Don't hate yourself. The worst thing you could do is, oh, I'm bad, I'm evil. No, just flow it. Take that energy. Here's the whole atomic energy of it all today. Let's say you have the bigger evil, strong evil impulse in yourself. You're a passionate person, and whichever way that burns in you, the stronger the evil impulse is within you, however you define that evil impulse, the greater good you can do in your life and for the world. Some of the greatest people on earth had some of the strongest evil impulses, but they learned the atomic energy of the evil and the good, and they learned to take that evil impulse, that atomic energy of the evil impulse, and harness it like a nuclear reactor and turn it into good, as have I. And I thank you for listening. HealingWheelSociety.org. This sermon will be posted today. If you missed this sermon and you want to share it with others, it will be on HealingWheelSociety.org.